Growing up, I drank the Kool-Aid of my parents' and community's beliefs. I made that belief system more important than my own needs and happiness. Looking back, I can't fault anyone for that, not even quote-unquote God. I now have clarity in decisions and choices I make. I'm fully engaged in finding joy in my life, in my own way, without the influence and construct of others. This is an uplifting discussion from there to now. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
So, we are here with Beverly Whipple.
That's me, the tattooed person.
And this is a long overdue podcast that we've been wanting and desperately to talk and just inform the public, do a PSA for everyone. I hope, hopefully a lot of people who haven't had kids yet will listen to this.
Yes.
And really start making some serious decisions and really weigh out the rest of their lives and what it's going to be like.
And this is some real talk, some things that I've come to face with, like, oh, I've had that thought, from that into, oh, I'm saying these things out loud and the stigma behind it. So I can't wait to talk to you today.
I know. And I told Beverly we need to make sure we stay away from bitch fest. But I know I really set the tone very ominously.
Boom, boom, boom. No, I don't think it's going to be ominous at all. I think there's going to be another story to things, because we all drank the Kool-Aid at the beginning of life.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So tell me about your Kool-Aid you drank about parenthood.
Go to school. Find the guy, find the house, have the kids, the 2.5 kids, the white picket fence, happily ever after. Well, I did all that, except I went to school, I found the guy, I bought my own house, and then we moved in together, and then I just started popping out kids 2.5 years later, and I have 2 now, 13, and we'll be 9 in June. And here's the thought that was started as a thought and then has been verbalized the last 2 years. I really don't think I should have been a parent. Where was option B? And then someone says, well, there's plan B. I said, well, they didn't have that back in the day. So,
right. Were we told as women that there was an option for us to not be moms?
No, there was no option. No one ever talked about anything other than school, kids, house, marriage, happily ever after.
And the irony is that you grew up in a non-religious background and I grew up in a religious background. And that was exactly the formula I was fed that I must do to achieve all of the things in adulthood.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. Well, in my circumstance, I couldn't get pregnant. And my ex-husband and I tried for 7 years. And so finally we adopted 2 kids. And now I look back, and because we don't even really think about what happens in our relationship with our husbands at the time, right?
Of course
and
not.
who we have kids with. And will this be a long-term thing?
Why didn't they tell us that part?
I mean, yeah, like consider who you're having the kids with, right? And what kind of helpmeet are they? Yeah. Also, too, are they able to provide and pull their weight 50%? And there's so many things to lay out. So, of course, I adopted kids, and I look back at it after divorcing him, thinking to myself, I think it was really Mother Nature trying to tell me not to get pregnant with him. And yet I defied it and adopted kids. And there's a whole other caveat to adopting kids too, because I know lots of people who have, and they really, this whole topic of nurture versus nature comes up quite a bit. And honestly, raising my kids who are now 21 and 17, it is definitely nature more than nurture. You can see some of their biological parents' traits and things coming out and showing up in them. So those are things to really evaluate. And then you might want to look at your traits and behaviors and stuff and go, am I going to produce something like this?
Oh.
And do I want this?
And I did, and they're just like me, and that's the problem. Yeah, my oldest, he is me. He gets in trouble at school. I didn't get in trouble, like I knew the boundaries, but he gets in trouble in school for being the inappropriate, loud class clown. That's me. Fun fact, in high school as a senior, I was voted most likely to take over the world and class clown. That's who I am today, and that's exactly how he is. And so you hear when people joke, oh yeah, it came true. My parents said, I hope you have somebody or kids who are worse than you are, or just like you. And you're like, yeah, be quiet, old lady. And then here we are. We've got kids that are the same or as worse than we are. And now we get it. Now we get why our parents were tired and grumpy, or at least mine. And I had a great childhood. Let me just start there. But probably, a really good childhood. I've got my traumas, but and now I'm thinking, no wonder they were tired. No wonder they didn't want to play board games with me. No wonder they weren't present in some of my moments, because they feel how I feel right now, probably, or they felt. And I'm just like, get these kids away from me. I love you. I love you to death. If I was given the chance to do it over again, knowing what I know now, I don't think that I would say yes, I will have my children again.
I agree. I would not have done it over again either. I do not think that I was designed to be a mother And I have really, honestly, and I will be completely honest, I have found zero joy in parenthood. And my kids are nearly adults.
Yes.
And there's been absolutely, like, I found myself when they were little scowling all the time. And isn't that horrible? Because I was miserable.
Yes. And that's me now.
Hard to be a single mom and then also make a living. And then when you throw on top of having an ex-husband who you can't even converse with or talk to as parents because he's got a crazy ex-wife who tries to control every conversation he has and like doesn't want him to have a relationship with me. I mean, that would be a beautiful thing. Couldn't we all dream for that thing? Right. But so you just don't even think about all of those factors and things that you put on top of it. So these poor kids, I'm just scowling every day, you know, literally just trying to get by.
Yes, just trying to survive. And that I am in the thick of that. So I've been full-time single mom for over 5 years. And we don't get married thinking that we're not going to have them, right? And my ex-husband is one who's abandoned his kids. So the last time he's seen them was 2020. Doesn't talk to them, doesn't talk to me. There's no relationship there. And so, and this was right before COVID. So we split in January 2020. And then living at home during COVID with 2 children by yourself, like for the first time ever, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm
like,
going to lose my mind.
Yeah, like give me an office to run. I will run your office. But these kids, wow, this is too much. And I remember calling him one day, and it was the middle of, when did COVID happen? May? Like middle of May? March, whenever it was. That month, we quarantined for a month. I remember calling him. I was sitting outside crying my eyes out. I said, please, please, please come get them. I need help. And he was like, yeah, nope. I was like, wow, thank you. Awesome dad. And so it's been me. I mean, I did have a 6.5 month engagement, but that's done. But it's been me, you know, this whole time. And then also trying to work the dating thing into it, you know, but yeah, kids just, you're supposed to have all this joy and all this love. And I'm like, I have joy. I have love, but bet your ass, I much rather would be alone. I would much rather clean my house. Oh wait, probably doesn't need to be cleaned very much because it's not being destroyed every time I, you know, do something, and I just want me time. And I don't get me time anymore. I get children time, and everything revolves around the kids. And oh, sorry, I can't do that because I got to get my kids, or I can't do this. And yeah, even just having a partner there, not having a partner there, it's just hard. And no one ever said you didn't have to have kids. So that's why we're here today, is to tell people you don't have to have children. And if you're currently like us who do have children and you're miserable, you are not alone.
Yes.
And don't feel bad about
and we can
these
let's just
feelings.
all be real with each other about this, because I have so many friends that are like laugh their guts off when I tell them about my parenting and my thoughts and everything. And I'm very militant in the way that I parented. Like I really put up with no bullshit at all. And you're the opposite, Beverly.
Complete opposite. So this is good stuff. I'm the complete opposite, but I'm trying to work into being a little bit more like you know?
And I had to really like try to say yes more and be a little bit more easygoing because I honestly grew up always wanting to please my parents, and I was the oldest child, and so I kind of was always the second mom anyways, because things were thrown on me like, drive the kids here, do this, your mom's sick, stay home and watch the kids. And so I definitely was this dream child, and now I have these kids, and they are doing everything against the formula of anything that I ever knew, and I don't even know how to handle it. Then you throw in social media, phones. I'm pretty sure my son was looking at pornography by age 5. He was drawing penises on things.
This is great. Sounds like me.
I could tell you so many really fun Not funny, Sean.
Come on, he likes it. He was 4 when he was drawing penises. He's relatable. I drew penises in high school. I was like that kid from Superbad, just like, I can't help it. I can help it. It was just funny, right? I wanted anything to get a laugh. And now my son thanks me for that. But yeah, you're right. There's days where I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this situation. I have no idea. And
Nor do you want to deal with it.
Nor do I want to deal with it.
You're just like, fuck this shit. I want to do this and that. Why do I have to sit here and deal with these fucking shit and issues?
Pretty much, because they gave us the damn Kool-Aid. So don't have kids. Anytime I meet like young kids, I just rented my old house out to 5 kids. They're aged from 19 to 22. It's going to be good. I got a good feeling about them. And I felt like a stand-up comedian talking to them. They're all just gathered around. I'm like, hey, kids, gather around. I'll tell you the stories from back in the day. That I'm like, do either of you have kids? And they're like, no. I said, good. Keep it that way. I don't want to sound like a cynical a-hole in my 40s, but they're just not great most of the time. I can't preface enough. I love them. I do not want anybody to smite them right now. Please, I want to die before them. I just have a hard time with parenting. I don't think I should have been a parent because I'm like you. I find myself like the moment they wake up, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
I get up at 4 a.m. just to have me time.
That's what I would do too.
Right? Just to have quiet time, and not just from them, from work as well, but they're, of course, most of it. I'm like, how many times and I told my little one today, I said, okay, I'm just going to start saying things twice because every time I say anything, you're like, huh? What? What'd you say? And I know if I just paused for a minute, he would process what I asked him. But I just started repeating everything. And he's like, oh, Mom, can you just stop? And I'm like, cool, can you stop asking me, huh? What? What'd you say?
Yeah.
Every time I say anything. And it's
annoying.
It's a hassle. They're annoying.
I remember being so exhausted and tired from talking to people and working. And literally, I just really wanted to talk to no one and engage in no form or manner to any human or anything, even myself. And I'd have to pick my kids up from school. And for 15 minutes straight, Mom, what about this? What about this? And Mom, this, and Mom, and that. And Mom, what about this and this and this and that? And that was just my son.
Yeah.
And I remember telling him, it is quiet time and we're not going to say anything. Now I had to literally call out quiet time because I felt so bad. Or sometimes I was just listening to a really good song and then my kids wanted to talk to me and I didn't want to talk to them. I wanted to listen to the song.
Yes.
And I felt like such a dick.
Yes.
I feel like I was such a shitty parent.
Right.
But I think it's real.
It
and everyone that makes it seem like it's fantastic and it's the most amazing thing that's ever happened to them in lives.
Bastards lied to us.
They are probably lying to themselves.
Absolutely.
And here's a couple of other things you need to know. Having kids does not fix relationships.
No, it does not.
Nor is it if you really think you need to get pregnant or have a kid with someone just to keep them in a relationship, that is a big red flag and your life will be miserable for the rest of your life. I can almost guarantee it.
Right, yeah.
Now, I'm not joking.
Because that's just a little Band-Aid. That Band-Aid's going to get wet and it's going to fall off and it's going to be nasty and gross.
And the other thing is little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. And it's like counting down the days till my son was 18 years old, so I wasn't legal liable for the things that he chose to do, no matter what. How I tried to teach him to be a responsible adult. They will do things.
Yeah. And that's the thing is
they don't listen.
Well, they don't, but and then I have to remember, and because I this goes to my head frequently every day. It's like, okay, Beverly, they're just kids. You're the one in charge of teaching them, or sometimes unteaching them. And again, or just to start with, no one gave us the manual, right? I'm like, fuck them, fuck their manual. What about the manual for me?
Yeah,
because just like you said, I'm trying to get through. Here's Beverly Whipple and her life and all the bullshit that I deal with. And then at the end of the day, you are exhausted. You are housing people, in our business that we do and dealing with these massive, huge things. This is not a 9-to-5 job. We get to clock in, clock out. No, I sometimes take my problems home, unfortunately. Not all the time, but you're absolutely right. You get home and you pick them up and it's the incessant talking, the this, the that, the, oh, check this out. Oh, look at this.
Engagement.
Mom, look at this. Look at this.
Look at me.
Look at this.
I need you.
I'm like,
I need your attention constantly.
And I find myself like, what, son? What? Oh, that's really cool. And then I'll turn my head. I'm like,
you're way better than I am. This is why now my dad never replied to us. Do you know 50% of the time we would talk to our dad and he would literally act as if he was deaf and never heard us.
I like
He would
that.
never respond. And I adopted that.
I need to
he
adopt that.
He still does that to me as an adult.
I need that. That's great. You haven't learned much then. Just stop asking. That's what it is. Yeah, today. Well, shit, we were driving the other day and my 9-year-old's like, hey, Mom, you want to play tic-tac-toe? And I looked back at him. I'm like, I am literally driving. And I thought, you damn moron. Like, no, I can't play tic-tac-toe. And I'm like, okay, don't call me a moron. But I'm just like, and here's one of my problems is I am very hardworking and very diligent and what's the word? Efficient. And so little kids slow me down.
Yes.
And so I'm like, you guys, I don't have time for this. Let's go. But I constantly remind myself, stop expecting me out of other people. And it's no different with my kids. I can't expect me out of them. They're children. I'm teaching them, but at the same time, it's just hard.
Okay, so that is a really interesting thing you bring up because you hear people say, I'm a baby person. I like little kids. And then you hear other parents say, I really like them when they're older. And so I remember
and then there's us. We don't like them at all.
I remember going through these stages where I was like, thank God they can go to the bathroom on their own.
Yes.
And then, I have a really funny story about potty training, by the way, because my son was so hard to potty train. And I literally was trying to multitask and order pizza delivery while potty training him. And so my son's in the bathroom and the guy goes, "Hi, pick up a delivery." And I say to my son, "Take your pants off."
And the guy's like, "Oh, shit, do you buy the pizza or do I buy the pizza?"
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I'm talking to my son. I'm potty training right now. And I start laughing so hard. And the guy's like, okay. Well, tell me something else to do.
Yeah. Did you want sausage with this pizza or
And that was
deep
the
dish?
joy in potty training. I was like, take your pants off.
Get them off now. Oh, hello, pizza delivery? Yes, I'll
Get on
definitely.
the toilet.
I definitely need delivery. Please drop that off. No, that's it. It's
And
like,
remember when they put their shoes on for their first time? You're like, oh my God, they can put their own shoes on. And then I remember when they could get in and out of the car seats on their own. I was like,
yes.
they can do this on their own now because I'm so sick and tired of having to do something for someone else all the time.
Yep, thank you.
And so it was just, these milestones were fabulous, but no, I did not enjoy it when they were babies because they literally were like aliens. They would eat, drink, poop,
roly-poly shit machines.
And literally they wouldn't even smile at you because they were just like not, until they were like 6 to 8 months old. All of a sudden they'd smile and you'd be like, oh my God, there's actually a human in there. They're just not like sucking the life out of me.
Literally.
And then, no, I'm not into cuddling and holding a baby for long periods of time. And then.
Only when they're sleeping.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about that. I don't even remember.
Take a sleeping baby.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I love their little juiciness, like holding them in their cute little, like, chunky bodies. They're so cute.
Okay. Chunky bodies.
But also, then they go to school and they are slightly self-sufficient. Then they become older and they can actually get to school on their own. Right? That's great. But then they start really doing all sorts of shithead things and doing really naughty things and super devious things behind your back all the time. And you're like, wow, they're independent, but I don't know about this. No. And honestly, each stage has not been joyful.
No, because it's more work for us.
Yes.
A really great friend of mine who recently passed, she said, oh, this person is adding to your mental load. And it wasn't the kids, but the kids add to my mental load. Like, no, tomorrow. Like, I forget all of my own stuff. Got to make sure they're taken care of. And it is the world's most thankless job because they don't thank you.
No one does. And then you get blamed.
Never good enough.
Moms get shit on. Seriously. Everyone wants to blame the mom for everything.
Yeah. Your kid's doing that well. Upbringing. I'm like, no. And to go back to your point before, and this, again, not to bitch fest about this, but do some pedigree on the people you want to have kids with. Because honestly, my ex-husband, his family literally has mental health disorder like track record. And not to say anything about me, but he was on antidepressants. And no, his mom was a legitimate schizophrenic, passed away in a schizophrenic hospital. And all the way, down the line, I'm like, oh, great. Now what are my kids going to have? Like, my line of the family is perfect, of course. But, and now I'm like, great, who's going to get what? I mean, my kid will get the overweight gene for me. He's got that. But other than that, I'm like, I'd much rather have an overweight kid than a kid who is schizophrenic or crazy. And now my oldest is doing this stuff. I'm like, you just didn't even pause to even think about what the consequences or what the reaction is going to be if you do this action. It's just not there.
Yeah.
And it's just so frustrating and just over and over and over. And so, yeah, my problems are starting to get bigger. Like yours are now out of the house. But mine are only just starting, I feel. And I remember they were 3 years old when they can get water for themselves from the refrigerator. I was like, oh my God, thank you. Life just got so much better.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
Right, just because their little pudgy fingers can get water on their own. And now I've learned let's see how far you can get with that before I need to help you. Because I will admit, I have a lot of mommy guilt over my divorce and what happened there. And it was all my fault, right? I'm still processing through this, but everything was my fault. So I got to make it real easy for the kids. No, of course you don't have to do that. Of course I'll get this for you. Of course I'll do everything and just cater to you. But then I realized this last 6 months, that's not what they need. They need a little bit of what you've got, which is that militant, that hardness. And
structure.
They need the little bit of what I give, which is loving, kindness, compassion. They need that middle person. And I get to be that for both of them.
That's why it's good to have two parents generally, because you really do balance each other out. Like I'm telling you, those last couple of years with my daughter in the house, we needed a third person to balance out that energy.
Yeah. And so then, to your next point again, or to my next point is, like I said before, we don't get married thinking it's going to end. And then us single people, I think it's not just single moms, there's single dads out there too that I know that have their kids and everybody's got a different scenario. And I used to joke with one of my friends, like, well, who's got it worse? he had the ex-wife who wanted to be in the child's life, but she was a crazy ex-wife, one of those. And then I had the non-existent ex-husband. He just wasn't there. And I said, not that I want to pick sides, but I'll pick mine. I would much rather not have to run anything past anybody. I get to at least control this part of their life because I can't control how they're going to backtalk me. But at least I've got that. So it's just hard no matter which way you slice it.
Yeah.
It's just a different hard when you're a single parent and being both masculine and feminine.
Right.
Which, just carries over into the rest of my life. So...
Yeah, well, there's another thing that is you definitely want to consider is when you are adopting. I don't know how popular adoption is now as it was, I would say 10 to 15 to 20 years ago. I know they're doing a lot more open adoptions. When I adopted my kids, it was not an open adoption. It was considered, we would talk to the birth mom, but we kept our names anonymous. And we talked to them and conversed with them for about a year. And so I saved all of that for my kids and stuff and the gifts that I got from them and the pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
But you also need to take into consideration what is their genetic history in the back, right?
Yeah.
So I know that my son, his biological dad was in a halfway house for drug and alcohol addiction. Well, by the time my son Gabriel was 6 or 7 years old, he had been hoarding aspirin and ibuprofen, Excedrin, in piles of it by his bedside. I was like, why do you have this here? He's like, I just get headaches sometime and I just need them. He would just pop them all the time.
Interesting.
And then he would get into my medicine cabinet and drink the cough syrup. So I had to lock everything up. He was had sticky fingers from a really young age and still does. I had to put a keypad on my bedroom door so that he couldn't get in. And I had to put basically my purse in there and anything quote unquote valuable.
Yeah.
And even all of the sugary food because he would get up and like eat it all and with a spoonful of sugar. So it's like you just don't know, and so those are the curveball you're thrown as a parent because we don't think it through or really think about what are we getting ourselves into and can I do this? Do I have the capacity to do it? I think some people actually do.
Yeah.
I think it's rare though because I was just talking to a really nice lady in her 70s last night at the Mesquite Elks and she was just saying how she and her husband had 4 kids and they've been married for 52 years.
Oh, well, look at them go.
Right. And she said that it was so much fun. She loved having daughters. And he was apparently in the military and he would try to he was like, I guess a boot camp person. And so he would be really militant with the girls and they'd just look at him and go,
that's adorable, Daddy.
And they got away with it.
Dad thinks he's going to boss
me around. She was like,
around.
It was so fun. I loved it. And I'm like, okay.
Did your husband love it though?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so when she was in the thick of it, would she be saying that? And at one point, did she start saying, that was really fun or that was really cute and you just basically push all of the other memories out.
Oh, yeah. Maybe she's romanticizing it.
I mean, my kids are out of the house now, but honestly, I really can't really grasp on into any good memories.
And yeah, I journal. And so because I forget so much, I sniff a lot of glue. So I'm thinking I'm going to need these. You know, what's funny is because I feel like, again, the Kool-Aid that we are given is you are supposed to love your children and they are the greatest joy ever. And all the hearts and rainbows and flowers for them from your soul to theirs. And it's this loving thing. And if your kids don't like you when you're older, something bad must have happened. Well, I was volunteering the other day and there was 2 people next to me and they realized, we used to be neighbors for years. And so I'm just listening to their conversation and they're older, I don't know, probably late 60s or so. And I heard the woman ask the guy, well, how are your daughters? And he's like, well, and you can feel his energy shift. And he said, well, 2 of them don't really talk to me. We're not in super great relationship. And they were all older. Like I said, the guy's in his late 60s, so older kids. And then he starts talking and his face lights up, starts talking about one of the other daughters and, she's doing great. She's doing this, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's okay that my kids may grow up to just not like me. That's okay. I don't like them now. But in all, with joking aside, here's a person who I know is a really great person. I mean, he's there volunteering for crying out loud. I mean, maybe he's doing it because his kids don't like him after all, but however he's trying to feel better about himself, the kids weren't there and it's okay. and it seemed like they were doing fine. Like he knew some surface level stuff about them. They're doing great as far as I know. And they weren't out in the streets being whatever they were doing, but they just didn't have a relationship with their dad. And I thought, of course I don't want that to happen to my children. I love them to death. I will do anything for them. I will take a bullet for them. I will shoot a bullet for them. I just have a real hard time having to be with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for pretty much every year.
Break. Well, thank God your
Zero break.
mom
I was just gonna
is
say,
involved and helps
yep,
out.
bless
She gives
my
you
mother.
a night off.
She does. So she is my godsend. She's my rock. She's my partner. She is my person. I actually gave her a keychain for Christmas that said, "You're my person." And she is my other parent because she too divorced 3 times over, now lives single and loves it. And now I commiserate with that. But she's my gal. And so she watches them on Saturday night. So I just get a reprieve. And whether I go out or if I'm just laying in bed in the complete still and quiet of the home. And there's actually about a 10-minute span after she picks them up. If I'm at home, she'll pick them up. And I just stand there and I just look out the window. I'm like, what am I going to do with 12 to 18 hours of time? Oh my gosh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And it's like decision paralysis because I have so much that I can do, need to do, want to do. And at the same time, I just want to enjoy a moment of quiet and silence.
Right.
And it's so hard.
Right.
So yeah, my mom, love you, Mom. You're the best. I know you think I treat you crappy sometimes, but I don't.
I think we all need to experience being alone and living alone.
Yeah.
And the problem is that we don't ever do that. Literally, we grow up with a family. We're in a household. Then we go to college. We're sharing rooms, right? We have roommates.
You got to work.
And then you get married all of a sudden, or you move in with someone. And then so you're living with someone, and then you have kids. And then, oh my God, they're attached to you forever.
What a great point that is. We're just never alone.
We're never alone, and we need to be making sure that we make time alone. We need that space to figure out who the fuck we are.
Absolutely.
And if we're just always inundating ourselves with everyone else's energies and everyone else's needs and wants, especially as women, it is so hard to be untethered. And it is the most amazing experience. And something that I'm going through right now is all of a sudden I have spent my entire life dealing with the consequence and choice of getting married.
Yeah, so let's just go all the way back to the beginning. Don't get married. Don't have kids. If you're already married, don't have kids. If you already have kids.
And wait for a very long time.
Yes.
I was 21.
I was 25.
Yeah.
And I think I was 27 when we started having kids.
I literally went through my whole house and got rid of everything that I had been holding onto or collected during the last 30 years. That started with that shitty decision that I had to marry someone.
Yep.
Because my parents thought he was nice.
Oh, I thought my ex was the only guy who would love a fat girl, so I didn't marry for love. I married he's the only guy who's gonna love me because I was a big girl. And so yeah, I learned to love him. We had a great marriage until he didn't, and yeah, so that's just wild. But yeah, I did have my early 20s. I tell everybody because I didn't grow up in religion. And so I moved to Ohio and I was there for 4 years and I was 19 or 20, the best years of my life because I was single, not by choice, but single and just out living and working at some restaurant job, going to college and just living. And I lived on my own and it was great. And those were just the best years of my lives. And so when I hear of people, they have to go on a mission or they get to, or they think they get to, I'm like, man, you need to go live your own life. Go see what's out there, and you're about to see what's out there with this culture shock you're about to get, but you don't get to enjoy it really. And that's me putting my thoughts and opinions on what they're doing. To me, it just seems like another job that they were told to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of them get joy out of it, but to me, I'm like, no, I want to go live and do whatever I want to do. So those early 20s were amazing. And I think back to them often, probably too often. Like, oh, remember when I didn't have kids and I can come home and the house was exactly like I left it?
Oh, and you can sleep in. That's the other thing. You will not ever sleep in. Seriously, until they're teenagers. And then they sleep all the time. And you're like, oh my God, are they okay?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Or they come in at weird times. So my son, I hear this tap, tap, tapping. And I'm like, is that somebody knocking at my door? So I open my bedroom door. This is last night at 10. And there's my 13-year-old knocking. And I was about to do something that 13-year-olds don't need to be privy to. He's probably doing it himself. Who am I kidding? Thank you. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even play with myself without the fear of my kid interrupting me. So now I'm like, and that's the first time that ever happened. I'm like, oh my God, now I'm terrified. Now what do I do?
Yeah. You have zero privacy. That's the other thing.
That's it. Zero privacy, zero anything. Nothing is yours. Nothing is off limits to them. They think they own everything. Ugh. A little prima donnas, I'll tell you.
Well, I did tell Beverly I had my kids really trained to not pass the threshold of my bedroom door because that was my sacred space, and no one walks in there. Even if the door's open, they do not walk through that threshold. They're like, Mom, Mom,
and Go ahead.
And you need that. You need to establish those spaces and those boundaries for yourself and that time.
Yeah. And I will say, I took that from you. So my kids, because my kids would knock on the door, but then they would just walk in or whatever, and they weren't really good on it. But after I saw you in action, I'm like, oh, yep, that's the thing. Nobody's allowed into my room unless you knock and you get verbal confirmation from me that you can enter my bedroom. But still, that doesn't stop them from knocking at 10 at night when I'm about to play with myself.
Yeah, that's a real buzzkill.
Just tell me about it. I made it this morning, if anybody was curious.
Yay, me too.
Yay. Masturbating twinners. I love it. Ooh, now I'm turned on again. The seat got a little moist. But really, and so, and my kid has these nightmares. So it happens before where it's the middle of the night and you're getting this knock and I wake up out of a dead sleep. I'm like, oh, what's happening? And you rush to them and they're having a bad dream or whatnot. And you're like, and you are asleep and you have to walk them back to bed and you have to console them and comfort them and rub their back.
You have to clean up their puke.
Clean up their puke, their pee, their poop, all of it.
I can't do that. I cannot handle puke.
Oh man.
When my kids puke, I start crying and I almost puke too. They're traumatized when they puke. Because I freak out. I'm like, no.
Not again. Isn't that terrible?
Who's going to clean this? I can't clean this. I'm like, who? Like, so, I can't.
It's just crazy.
I don't know how I made it through that period with puking kids.
I don't know how I'm currently making through, but I am. It's happening. There's no choice.
There is no choice.
But there is a choice. But the choice is one that you would never, ever, as me, that I would never, ever think about, which is, well, my ex-husband ran away. Why can't I? Bye, kids, love you. Here's some money.
No, moms can't do that.
Can't do that.
Guys
it's
can
okay
do it
for
way
dad
easier.
to do it, and it's okay for the courts not to bother dad. That's a podcast for another day. But nothing. I get nothing from you.
Yeah,
and it's okay. It's okay.
Yet we are shamed as moms, and other moms shame moms.
And especially ones that have
amazing how that happens because we are working our asses off and sacrificing on a daily basis. Why are we shaming each other?
Exactly.
Well, it's not easy.
I feel like some of that, because I used to hear, back in the day, before my kids were as old as they are now, there was one woman I particularly heard of from my friend, and she's like, oh yeah, the mom just took off, and so the dad's trying to get things going. And then I think the dad ultimately ended up taking off. And so my friend was just watching like 3 or 4 kids. This was, probably 10 years ago. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, that mother, what a terrible mother. And it wasn't until probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I came to this realization, like, I just don't think I like being a parent. I don't want to be a parent. What the fuck? And I don't get a choice. I'm like, that there is a choice. I could never do that though. I could never do that. But I had that judgment, and I think it came from my unknowing, my ignorance, because I didn't know. My kids weren't as old as they are now, and she was overwhelmed. Whatever she had going on in her life, I think there were some extenuating circumstances, but still, it was an option, and it was an option for my ex-husband to leave. But for me, I don't think that I could just straight up leave them now that we're in this relationship that we're in.
So I think it's so easy to be self-deprecating as moms, and I have never said any kind things about my own self as a parent.
Yeah.
Honestly. It's only been recently where I can look back and go, I worked my fucking ass off for these kids. I provided them a home. I gave them so many cool opportunities and experiences and took them snowboarding and gave them lessons and on all of these different things and enrolled them in sports. And I literally took them out of the country on vacations and all of these things. And it is thankless. They don't care and they're ungrateful about it. So you have to just give yourself that recognition.
Yeah, you do, because no one else is going to give it to you. You have friends saying, oh, you're such a great parent, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm crying. Like, oh, my kids hate me because I didn't take him to the house of jumbo. My kid wants this Jeep thing. I said, listen, if you can get straight A's for $25, I will buy you that scooter thing. Well, it turned in from the scooter thing to this $4,000 Jeep, and he shows it to me like nonchalantly, and I start laughing. I'm like, I'm not buying you that. I'm talking about this $300 little battery powered scooter. Like, you think I'm gonna buy you a $5,000 Jeep? No, that's adorable that you thought that. No. Plus, I could say yes, and you're still never gonna get straight A's because that's the reality of it. But I digress. Yeah, it's thankless. So the point of today's podcast is to
don't have kids.
Don't have kids. If you're already married, please think more about it and do some research on your significant other.
Think about your long-term relationship.
Exactly. seriously, make sure you're in a good spot with it. But
because that's a whole other topic. Don't get married.
Yeah, don't get married. More on that in a moment. No. But do some pedigree on your people, because I know we all get caught up in these fun, loving feelings. But no, where'd you come from? What did your parents turn out? When did they die? How old are they? Are they still alive? Do they have heart defects? All the things that they ask you at the doctor's office. Right. Where you're like, oh, why don't you?
But the other thing is there's so much that's out of our control.
Yeah, so much.
So that's why you really have to just tune into yourself and really use your intuition and discernment. And I think discernment is so different from judgment.
Yeah.
Discernment is, this is who this person is, this is how they are, and this is what makes them, and you've got to just accept that. So use your intuition, everyone. Don't just dive into what everyone else is doing, and really think it through and pray about it and meditate and maybe go on a 40-day fast up in the mountains.
Yes, with
and
no
burn
children.
a bush.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the I Drink the Kool-Aid podcast. Join us next time. If you'd like to participate in this discussion, get a hold of us at idrinkthekooladpodcast@gmail.com. Now let me ask you, what flavor of Kool-Aid are you drinking?
This has been a production from a podcast studio.